If you have just joined us for the first time, then we want you to know that My Career, My Calling is a multicultural weekly radio program that provides advice and information to help you better understand, to succeed and to thrive in the Australian workplace. This is a program designed by migrants with a migrant focus in mind. Thank you for joining us. My name is Stephanie Fletcher-Lati, and I am your program host for today. If you have joined our program for the first time, if you are listening to us live on Facebook, if you are listening to us online and down on the radio, we just want to thank you for tuning in to My Career, My Calling. Today, remember, you can call us on 8006-0475 if you're in Australia. If you're calling from overseas, you put 612 before that number and give us a ring. You can leave your feedback on our Facebook page, or you can leave your comments on the live stream on Down on the Radio on Facebook. But we do welcome your feedback, and we are looking forward to having another enriching evening with you all. Remember, this is a program sponsored by iCare Community Services. iCare Community Services, a multicultural provider of community support and disability support services. You can reach them at 6 Speed Street, Liverpool. You can go online on icareservices.org.au and see a lot more about what they do and the services they provide. This is indeed a cultural program for our community, and we do hope that you enjoy our program today. Before we get into anything else, I just want to introduce my very special guest in the studio with me today. I've got a very interesting guest, Mr. Jose Evora, with me. Mr. Jose, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Very good. You'll be hearing a lot more from Jose in just a moment. Just before we begin to talk to Jose, though, I did have some of our volunteers sent me some news items this week, and they were talking about stuff in the news, and I thought it would be really nice to share a news item today. So I'm going to try and see what's happening in the news and, provide some feedback for people. So I'm going to share one news item that was on the outplacement.net.au website, and this was about 5 reasons why people find it so hard to find jobs in Australia. And this was written by Glide from Outplacement. So what they were saying in the news is that there's a slowdown in employment. This has been seen, a slowdown in employment growth over the past year. And they said that since 2013, this was one of the worst years for employment. According to the Australian Bureau of Standards, there was about 7,100 monthly gain in employment. They said that there were less jobs, that the economy is creating more part-time jobs, more casual jobs, and subcontracted jobs. And this has major implications for everyone, not just for Australians, but for those who are coming seeking temporary work. For some people, I think they will benefit, those who are getting casual roles like students. But for, everyday people who are living, they got families, some of these things have implications. And they also went on to say that in regional areas, there are lack of opportunities. There's underemployment, and a lot of people are working on a part-time basis. So, there are things happening out there. Some people are really struggling. Some people are doing it tough. And I believe that, over the past weeks, we've been sharing about the added disadvantage for migrants, especially people with a second language, people coming from overseas who are not skilled or they don't have formal qualifications. So, if everyday Australians are going through this struggle, then you can multiply that for those who are coming from overseas. So I'm going to leave the news at that for today. So thanks for joining us for the news. Let us know if there's anything interesting that you'd like us to talk about. But a special guest in the studio with us today, and I'm really looking forward to having a chat with this very very important person, and Mr. Jose Evora. Jose, thank you so much for taking time out. I know you have been extremely busy, and so I do appreciate that you have made time to spend some time with us on the program today. And we want to talk about, options. As I've just said, I've mentioned about the issues. People are really struggling, and I know you have been in the vocational sector for a while, so today we're probably going to focus our conversation a little bit more on the vocational sector. But before we get into that, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your own background and your own background as a migrant in Australia.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, Stephanie.
Yes.
Yes, I migrated here back in 1998
Wow.
from Norway. My parents, basically my father migrated to Norway in the 60s.
Wow.
And I was called in 1982. Yeah, so I did my bachelor back in Norway.
Yes.
I was a 7-Eleven franchisee and have had my life settled there. And then one day I decided to move to Australia to do my master's and sold everything, took my backpack. And I was planning to go back after 2 years after I finished my Master of Business. But yeah, in between I had a son. And I settled here for life since 97.
Oh, wow. Wow. Very good. Quite a similar story for many of us who came here to study, like myself, and beauty and the sweetness of Australia grabbed us.
Yeah.
And then for some reason or the other, we decided to stay. So, I think a lot of people can relate to your story today. But I know you've worked in the vocational sector for quite a while, and on this program we have been talking about finding jobs, being able to succeed in the workplace, whether as a business person, as a person in the vocational sector, or as a professional worker. And I really wanted to draw on your experience, as one who has, maybe you have had your own children, but also you have seen it from the other angle of providing the training and also guiding people on their career paths. So today, one of the things that people have feedback about us is that many people have come with their qualifications, and some of them have got, undergraduate or postgraduate level training. But a lot of people actually start out their jobs in the vocational sector, working as a skilled worker, whether in aged care or in the factory or in some kind of, have a white card or, as a factory or construction worker. So maybe you could share some insights about why you think, it's a bit easier for people to start off in the vocational sector when they arrive in Australia.
Yeah, basically starting with myself, when I finished my master's and I started doing a doctorate, and there was not much money. So I had to actually start teaching in the vocational sector besides teaching at university.
Yes.
So I did a few hours, teach a few hours at uni, and I would teach another 12 hours in the vocational sector.
Yes.
So for that, what you need to do is you need to find out what the requirements are.
Yes.
What is it that you need to do? So for me, I need to in addition to my university qualifications,
yes,
I also needed to do some vocational qualification in order for me to be able to teach in the vocational sector.
Yes.
It's you have to see what is it that you want to achieve, and then look at the requirements for the industry.
Yes.
Where you want to perform. Today, many people come here because for migration purpose, those ones are already assessed.
Yes.
So their qualifications are assessed as belonging to a certain category or certain professions. If they come to Australia, and because perhaps they are wife or husbands or kids of somebody who actually have been granted the visa as a principal applicant,
Yes.
then it's not necessarily that they have been assessed.
Yes, okay.
You see, so what's happening now is that the government is always ensuring that there is a pathway for these people to be active member of the society.
Okay, so Like myself, I migrated as a skilled migrant, so that's how I got my permanent residency because I had postgraduate training and I had a specialized skill. But say, for example, my partner or the husbands or the wives who have come on a different stream, this is creating an opportunity for them to find their place in the workplace. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that is correct.
Very good.
And what the government has created is a department that actually within the state training authority of every state and territory. So in every state and territory, they have the state training authority that actually runs all the funding, government funding for programs for each state.
Yes.
So it's like, it's really money that comes from the state
Yes.
to the tax system. But in that, they have created this office
Yes.
that actually assess the qualifications of migrants. And in New South Wales, before they used to assess masters, bachelors, doctorates and things, but no, in New South Wales they've stopped.
Oh, wow.
But they still do the trade qualifications.
Trade. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So say if you're a carpenter, if you're a plumber, if
Yes.
if you're a painter,
Electrician. So, yeah.
electrician, car mechanic, so you can still go through the system.
Wow.
And it's normally assessed by the government. They use their own institution, which is STIFE,
Yes.
New South Wales, for instance,
Yes.
that actually conduct that assessment. So if you're granted that you and sometimes they do also skills, so you go and you demonstrate
Yes.
that you actually can do besides your qualification as well, and then you'd be granted. You can use that assessment to get a license with the fair trading. So that means that you could even start your small business then, and become a painter or a car mechanic or or whatever trades that you had
Yes.
in your home. You can continue with that in Australia by showing that actually you are capable.
So basically, it's some kind of recognition of your competency and your prior learning and accrediting that, giving it some kind of recognition.
That is correct. And it is also the same department that issues the credentials to Australians.
Yes.
Say, if you are to become a car mechanic, it takes you 3 years.
Yes.
And it is that office that gives you the credentials
Yes.
that you're a car mechanic, you're an electrician.
Yes.
And it is also the same office that runs that for
Yes.
overseas applicants.
So then they are making sure that what you are doing is the same level as an Australian trained person.
That's correct.
Very good. Very good.
Because the public will rely on you. I mean, if you're an electrician and you come to somebody's home, they expect that you're going to perform the job. So what the government is doing is making sure that we all, everybody's in a level playing level.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really important to understand. So I think one of the things that I'd love to take away from this is that if you're coming from overseas with your skills, you don't have to feel hopeless when you get into Australia. There is a process for you to recognize your skills, your the prior qualifications by going through the system that the government has in place.
Yes. In Australia, actually, around 2001, we created a body that actually, it's called Australian Qualification Framework.
Yes.
So the Australian Qualification Framework is divided into 3 different levels. So you have the upper to high school,
Yes.
from 1 to high school. And then you also have the other sector, that's vocational sector.
Yes.
The high school goes to high school certificate.
Yes.
And then the vocational sector goes up to diploma, certificate 1, 2, 3, 4, diploma, advanced diploma.
Yes.
And now we've added graduate certificate and postgraduate.
Oh, wow.
So we do not issue in vocational, we do not issue the degree program.
The
yes. Bachelor program.
Yes.
So we just jump
Yes.
from the advanced diploma. So then we postgraduate certificate and graduate diploma.
Yes.
So in that sense, but those levels are the same as the higher education.
Yes.
So in higher education, people will be able to get their bachelor, their postgraduate certificate,
Yes.
and their graduate diploma, and then their masters, and then their PhDs.
Yes.
Their doctoral. So basically, the whole system works together. And what we did with that is that we have signed to a convention with the rest of the world.
Oh, wow.
And this means, and this is something that most people do not know.
Yes.
That is, if you were trained in an institution overseas that was accredited by your government, our government believes in your government.
Yes.
Oversight. So we believe that your government has carried on the necessary oversight
Yes.
to make sure that the quality has been maintained in your institution.
Very good.
And therefore, we mutually recognize all the qualifications around the world, but the qualifications that are accredited, the institutions.
Yes.
That are accredited by government.
Yes. So yes, that reminds me. So I'm from Jamaica, and we have the NCT vet, which I think is part of that program, where it's an accreditation program. So in the same way that the TAFE system operates, then somebody, a mechanic, a carpenter, any kind of skilled person, they can actually go through that same process. And that certificate is actually recognized worldwide. And I didn't know that. So that is the system that it's part of, this global, it's like a global group that it says, whichever country you're coming from, if your government recognizes this, then we will recognize it as well.
That is correct.
That is absolutely brilliant. If you are out there and you're listening to today's program, we are getting some really serious nuggets from a very experienced person, a very experienced trainer in the vocational industry. And many times people just don't really think about some of these things, because I've seen people, very highly skilled people, have come, but because they don't know or they don't understand, they've been frustrated, and they've been, they're going around in circles, not realizing that there is actually a proper formal system in place where they can be recognized. So that takes me, I know you actually operate a training college.
Yes, I do. Darwin College.
Yes, so tell us a little bit about Darwin College.
At Darwin College, basically, we specialize mostly in business and leadership. That's my baby. So we deliver the diploma of business, the advanced diploma of business, the diploma of leadership, and also the advanced diploma of leadership. So currently we focus on just on those areas.
Business administration type stuff.
Business administration. But I also have partnership with other providers where we focus on other areas like telecommunication, like in the areas of trade, like telecommunications, constructions, car mechanic, etc., where, like the white card, first aid, very lower qualifications, which is very portable ones. Too often.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment, about the short term ones that you can get in a short period of time. So Darwin is focusing on leadership and so on. And are the programs accessible online, or do you have face-to-face offerings as well?
Face to face, we do both in Parramatta and also in Brisbane.
Okay.
But it's people can do it 100% online. So the programs are actually 100% online. And what we're doing is that the courses are also we have an articulation arrangement with higher education providers.
Yes.
So it's a pathway to the bachelor program.
Oh. That's amazing.
Yes. So we work with Universal Business School in Sydney.
Yes.
So let's say somebody would do that course, say in Jamaica.
Yes.
They would do the diploma, or they'd say the advanced diploma of business, 8 subjects.
Yes.
They would get 10 from UBSS.
Wow.
Universal Business School, Sydney. And what happens there is that in order for them to do the full degree, they need to do 24 subjects.
Oh.
So this is almost like 50% of the degree.
50% already completed.
Already completed by the time they finish Darwin College.
Yeah.
So this is very highly practical. And what we're doing there is also looking at the skill sets that people need to get.
Yes.
So like marketing skill, project management skill, accounting skill, financial skills, and making sure those skills are also current. And that's a little bit of the difference quite often between us and the very, and higher education institutions and universities. That, very bureaucratic systems that actually develop programs, and it takes years to develop.
Yes, yes.
Until it's launched in the market.
And I think one of the points that is important is that the vocational industry is very highly regulated as well. So there are standards. It's not that anybody can just come and go as they please.
Oh no, it's highly regulated. So we have Watchdog, that's ASQA.
Yes.
Yeah, Australian Skills
Quality.
Yeah. So those guys, they make sure that you do the right thing.
Yes.
But every institution should do so because education institution, the whole idea is actually to help people.
Yes.
So you help people by teaching them properly.
Yes.
And guiding them throughout. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we look at sometimes at micro credentials. So basically what we've done at Darwin College is actually looking at micro credentials. So like one subject for this project management. We make sure it's totally up to date.
Yes.
And the skills, the people training it, all the skills, everything is up to date. The software that we use is up to date to the requirements of today.
Wow.
So you make sure that you bring all the materials really up to date. I remember when I first started teaching at university, that it was 1998, and the professor was going on holiday, and he says, Jose, you can use my stuff. And he said, no, I'll prepare my own PowerPoint. He says, no, you can use. And when I got it, it was like, he's been using the same material for perhaps the last 20 years.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
And you can't, especially when you're teaching economics.
Yes.
That you have to look at the latest statistics.
Changes in policies, government, macro and microeconomics, and changes in the globe, around the globe.
The last quarter, yesterday, what really happened? You have to have those figures when you're speaking, otherwise it doesn't make sense. So I said, thank you, and I give him back when he came back from holiday. I returned his old stuff back to him.
But I wanna put a plug in here. You spoke about micro credentials.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit more for our listeners. What is a micro? Explain for the lay person. A lot of us, we're not familiar with that terminology. Yeah. Explain some more. What is a micro credential?
I think you and me, we perhaps belong to those days when we hear the record.
Yes.
A song, we'll go and buy the whole record.
Yes.
You see, you look at that as more or less the same way.
Yeah.
People would have to, in order for you to learn about project management, like me, I had to do a whole degree.
Yes, in project management.
I went to Norwegian Business School. I did a whole degree in project management.
Yes.
You see, but now, for instance, at Darwin College, we offer a subject.
Yes.
One subject that's just project management.
Yes.
And then we make sure it's up to date with everything that the person needs to do in order for them to learn how to manage projects.
Yeah.
So basically what you do now is that, look at somebody who's got like an accountant.
Yes.
Got a Bachelor of Accounting.
Yes.
All that person does is do account payables or account receivable.
Yes.
And if try to do anything else, say, no, that's not your job. Your job is this.
This, yeah.
So you see, you'll find quite often that in any organization that people are actually just performing certain tasks.
Certain tasks, yes.
And they're not even allowed to talking about all the other stuff.
Yes.
Because that's not their job.
Yes.
That's not the priority. That's somebody else. Do not think about that. Focus on this one. And you see, that's where micro-credentials come in.
So you're responding to that change in the workplace. So you can provide a specific qualification for that job that they do.
Just that job.
Oh.
So I work, for instance, here with Darwin College here in Liverpool. And what we're doing is that we're training people in NBN.
Yes.
That's national broadband. And basically there is a course in telecommunication, Certificate 3 in Telecom, and that's like 13 subjects.
Yes.
But in order for a person to work in the telecommunication network that's government owned by Telstra, for them to touch those cables and make sure they don't disturb anything, they need to have a qualification that's called open registration. In order for them to get the open registration, they need to do 4 units of competency, like 4 subjects.
Yes.
So basically what we've done is that we package those 4 only.
Yes.
And then we teach only those 4.
Yes.
So we have a lot of migrants. We work with Settlement Services International.
Very good.
And Settlement Services International, they send us the students.
The students, yes.
And then we train them. And then we also have all these contractors and subcontractors that do telecommunications with Telstra. So we pass these students up to the
contractors, yes.
And then everybody's got a job.
It's perfect.
And everybody's happy. And it takes like 1 month, 2 months. The thing about micro-credentials is that it may take 2 weeks to 1 month to 2 months.
Yes.
And then you do something that's hot. The problem is that, say, even if that should become irrelevant.
Yes.
You haven't lost 3, 4, 5 years of your life.
That's it.
And what I advise people to do is that talk to your employer.
Yes.
Find out where they're heading.
Yes.
Where are new openings coming up?
Wow.
Like now you have the internet and the marketing system has changed, mostly through digital. Mm-hmm. And you get one of those skills, takes you 3 weeks.
Yes.
4 weeks. You don't need to go into a master's in marketing.
Yes.
Or a PhD to be able to perform.
You can do a skill in social media management.
Yeah.
Which is much shorter.
Much shorter. Ethical hacking, you can do that. That is actually something you can carry, portable. You can take it elsewhere.
I'd love to do something in ethical hacking.
Hackers were used as bad, but now they are hired by business to watch over the other guys, bad guys.
Definitely. To troll and to data mine from the internet to help you do better in your business.
Yes, and that can be done within a few weeks.
Oh wow!
So that's basically where education is moving, and the beauty of this is that the state government acknowledges that. So for all these people that we train, the state government pays us to train them.
That's amazing.
So the person who comes, like these refugees who come and do the course with us, they pay nothing.
Wow.
So we work with AMS Australia, AMS here in Liverpool, and also Bankstown across this area. And they also sent us, last year I got a letter from the CEO, she offered to send us 100 students. And we train them, we place them for zero.
I think I need to come and work for you, Jose.
The state government pays us, so we don't do it for free.
Yes.
But it's under the Smart and Skilled initiative.
Yes.
With the government of local government of New South Wales, so we get paid from them, not from the students.
So stick a pin there. So, this is why you have to get people to watch this program, because this kind of information you cannot get anywhere except on My Career, My Calling. So for humanitarian migrants and people like on a refugee visa or a protection visa, those who have come into the country, they get this facility from the government. A lot of people are of the impression that, the government just dump refugees. People don't realize that there are actually structured programs and systems in place to help them integrate. And I think the real bottom line of what we're talking about today is really about integration.
That is the whole idea. I mean, I grew up in a country, Norway, where actually we were invaded by Hitler. Mm-hmm. And they teach you quite early in your schooling that refugees are great, because our king were a refugee at once. Yes. And he went to US and the prince went to UK, United Kingdom. So Australian, actually, the way that it's working is that refugees are a priority. Yes. That they settled, that that they make a contribution to the community and to the society, that they become self-sufficient, and that is a priority. Sometimes, as an operator of this type of business, the government says, we run out of money for let's say for certain areas certain programs, but the refugee programs, they don't seem to run out of money
because it is their priority.
That is a priority.
Yes. So let's take this to other migrants, those who have come on their own or for families, from a family perspective. Some of them don't enjoy that kind of benefit that a refugee would have, because the refugee is in Australia's care.
Yeah.
But what are some of the options available then to people who are coming from overseas? Let's say somebody on a partner visa or somebody got married to somebody in Australia. They've come, so they didn't have to go through the rigor of the skilled migration. Mm-hmm. How can they access, vocational training? And can you just walk us through what that would look like for someone who's coming maybe on a partner? Because I know it's different for somebody on a student visa as well. Mm. But if you can give us maybe a take on for someone who's on a different type of visa.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, if you're looking at government funding, the entire idea is that the government is supposed to support
Yes.
those people who are staying here,
Yes.
that's going to contribute in the future
Yes.
to develop the economy.
Yes.
So therefore, their assessment that they tell the institutions, how they tell the institutions to operate and to accept
Yes.
students, is that people who are in permanent residence,
Yes.
they have the same eligibility
Yes.
as if you are an Australian.
Yes.
So which is quite good. But
Yes.
say if it's a partner visa, the way it's working with partner visa now is, for instance, that you get temporary.
Yes.
And then you
have to wait maybe 2 or 3 years for the permanent one.
Yeah, that's right. So that is a little bit of.
So
of an
those
issue
people,
there.
would they have to pay out
Yeah.
of their pockets?
They do English for free.
Yes.
So they can do, I think, 240 hours of English
Yes.
for free.
I think it's about 12.
Yeah. So they can do English for free, but that's basically
Yes.
that's basically about it.
But they can still come and register and pay out of pocket to access the courses, isn't
Yes,
it?
yes, they can. And you see, the thing is that it's very competitive market for providers.
Yes.
Because it's quite a lot of. I mean, you can, even to do a certificate 3, say, in aged care or individual support.
Yes.
If I just use your computer and Google it now, you can see you can do that for $1,000.
Wow.
But you see, it just depends which institution is it that you're doing
Doing
it
it with, yeah.
doing it with. So yeah, there is some courses that are not so very expensive.
Yes.
That I can tell you one thing about the vocational system. In the 80s, it was the Labour government that actually went on and said, we need to have a national standard of education.
Yes.
In the past, institutions like myself, we would set up an institution, we'd set a diploma of marketing, a diploma of leadership, and then I would do my curriculum the way I wanted to.
Yes.
And I get it approved by the government because I know the process and the standards, and they'll say, okay, tick, 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 she'll say you're fine.
Yeah.
The other college would develop the same name and set up their own program, but then one day, say the student wants to quit that institution, move to the next one, but then what would happen is that I would not accept the credentials from Academy A. You see, and that would mean that the students would be disadvantaged. So instead, now we have a national curriculum, so the course codes and the course names are the same,
Yes.
nationally, not state-wise, throughout the whole country. And then the core units are the same. Core units of competency, the core subjects.
Yes.
So making sure that we have a national system that is transferable.
Yes.
So if you study with me, you do, say it's the course is 12 subjects.
Yes.
You do 4, you can take those 4 with you and go to the next college.
Yes.
And they will accept those 4.
Wow, this is really, really awesome.
No question asked.
This is really awesome,
Yeah.
Jose. Wow. If you have just joined us, then you have joined us on My Career, My Calling on Down Under Radio. Wow, we've got Mr. Jose Evora in the studio with us today, and we are just really being treated with some very good information about the vocational sector. And I think it's really important for people to understand that, this information, you don't get it anywhere. This is first-hand, inside information about how you can access, how the system works. To be honest, I think some of these things we don't really know. We don't think about it, and so I'm really grateful that we are able to have access to this kind of information, because people really struggle, people are well-meaning. People have got, ambitions, but sometimes they just don't know where to find this information. And it's really, really important for people to understand how they can navigate even through the vocational sector. And I really like this whole idea about these micro credentials, because I think that's really opening up so many opportunities for people. I know a lot of people who, in our second week, I did a little survey and I asked people, when you arrived in Australia, what was the most difficult thing for you? And how did you go about? And every single person, except maybe for 2 or 3 who came on a sponsored visa, and very, very high level professionals, they worked in the vocational industry. industry. They were able to get quick micro credentials to be able to, and that is how a lot of them were able to pay for themselves. I know a lot of people who are still working as, enrolled nurses or in aged care, sending themselves to university to get Australian level qualifications. And so this is one sector that we should never underestimate. And I think this is one of the main reasons why I really wanted to have you to really peel back and let people understand how important this is in the scheme of things, especially for a lot of migrants. And a lot of migrants already come with, work experience, high-level professionals, people who know how to navigate, who are innovative and be able to manage with very little resources. And so they really do very well in the skilled industry. So I wanted to, so where do you see the skilled sector going, in terms of the future? How do you see that? Do you think it's going to change, or from the perspective of the student, I mean? Because I know there's always changes from the perspective of the trainer and from the business perspective. But from the people who are accessing the training, what are some of the things that people should, look out for? What might be on the horizon?
I think the micro credentials will continue to grow, and like you said, a lot of focus will remain perhaps around that. I think everybody who comes to this country, if they want to get a quick job, first some of the micro ones, very small ones they need to get is first aid, white card, you can work in any construction site, responsible service of alcohol and gambling, you can, get a job quickly.
Yes, the lollipop.
Yes, the lollipop, for instance, that's very...
Tell us about the lollipop.
That's...
the traffic controllers. I think that's the correct terminology.
Traffic controllers, I've had a few in my office that actually that's all they want to do. They don't want to do anything.
But I hear that it actually pays really well.
It pays really well.
In my country, you find somebody who has nothing to do to hold a lollipop or to... if they're working on this road and they need people just to help with divert. I was shocked when I came to Australia and heard that it's a qualification.
Yeah, all the Europeans who come here to study.
Yes.
The first thing they do is go and pick up that ticket.
Oh.
We call it a ticket, like the
white card,
the qualification, so they can stay on the street, and that's all they want to do.
Unbelievable.
But you see, those are things like in Africa, we always think of education as being the masters, the bachelors, the PhDs, the doctorates and stuff. Whilst in Australia, actually, if you look at the qualifications we need, are the plumbers, the carpenters, the electricians.
The skilled workers.
And you see, and I feel like perhaps, and I've discussed this with government, many of the government officials, that, they have so much money out there for skills. We're importing skilled people because we cannot create our own. And I said, you really think we cannot? Of course we can. We can create our own skilled people. But the thing is that they're not informing the parents.
Yes.
So let's say like when you're doing high school, which your kids or mine are doing high school, the problem is that the parents are focusing on those kids to finish the school and go to university. Anything else is a failure. So if they fail to go to university, that's it, they failed. Like my son failed to go to university. But what I did is that I enrolled him in a diploma. And he's finishing the diploma by next week. And then he's going to Sydney Uni to do actually the Bachelor's of Law, to become a lawyer.
So hang on a second there, Jose. So especially us who are from the Afro background, I think we were socialized to think that if you don't become somebody with these X numbers behind your name, then you really, you're not going anywhere. But when we came to Australia, we saw another side of that. That hang on, I need a skilled qualification, and that is really how people make it big in this country. And so what you are saying is that you looked down the road and recognized that if your child who is just leaving high school gets a vocational qualification, it will be a stepping stone for a higher level degree. Tell us about that.
So basically what happened is that because he went to a sports high school, so to the Hill Sports High, so they play a lot of basketball and have a lot of fun. So basically, when he finished, because we have a system where they have to have a certain score in order for them to get into certain degrees and at certain universities, and he didn't achieve that, of course, because he was doing quite a lot of basketball. But what I did is that then I put him in a school that delivers the same program as I do here in Sydney, where he did the diploma of business.
Yes.
And with that one, he of course he did his telecom already, NBN. He's been working in NBN.
Yeah.
He did his diploma, so therefore he can get a job in an office.
Yes.
Whilst he's at uni doing his law degree. And when he goes to uni, the law degree, he only needs to do 24 law subjects. So he doesn't have to do double degree that takes 5 years.
Because he already had some from the diploma.
Because you already have a diploma, so therefore he doesn't need any other.
Wow.
Because normally you do a law and you do law and commerce,
Yes.
law and arts, so on and so forth. But him, when he goes, Sydney University is one of our best universities.
It is.
And he becomes admitted by the board, by the admission board, the law admission boards directly.
Yes.
That provides the program with Sydney University.
Wow.
And that's a shortcut.
Yes.
And many people don't know
And
that
it's
shortcut
not
exists.
a 419 shortcut. It's a legitimate shortcut because he's already done some training and he's got a qualification.
From the vet sector, he's received his diploma already.
Yes.
And that program is by the law board that
Yes.
admits lawyers.
Based on, oh wow.
That admits lawyers. That's a very old program that was established with Sydney University back in the days.
Wow.
And that program still exists. So sometimes it's not knowing. So say if I'm a parent who hasn't checked anything,
Yes.
I would say, okay, you finished, so what you want to do?
Yeah. Oh, you have failed.
Well, he says, no, I like environment. I really want to contribute. I say,
Yes.
okay, become an environmental lawyer.
Yes.
Do your business, jump into university and complete your program. But another thing is, there is also an option for parents
Yes.
for the kids to start the program early, like in terms of an apprenticeship.
Like in year 10 or...
In year 10.
Oh, wow.
After 15 years old.
Tell us about that.
– 15 years old, you see the apprenticeship takes 3 years.
Yes.
So after the year 10, they can start the program and to become a carpenter, all of this stuff that actually they're going to do after they failed to get into uni.
Oh.
So basically what happened is that instead of checking which program is suitable for the kid, we let the kid go and fail for another 3 years with doing nothing. And then when you realize that he can't get into uni, then you send him back to TAFE
Yes.
or to a private school to do a vocational.
So what you are saying is, instead of stressing out this young person, they can actually start testing the waters from in high school.
That's correct. We did the study at Macquarie University earlier, and what happened is that people in the best suburbs
Yes.
who are very, very rich,
Yes.
they actually make sure that by the time their kids graduate high school, they have a certificate 3 in, say, hospitality.
Unbelievable.
In order for you to become an hotel manager,
Yes.
all you need to do is to have a certificate 3 in hospitality. And that's it. Then you can manage hotel, you can manage the bar, you can do this, and then you can pay for your own school at university. And that's something that kids can do before they finish high school. There is no need to go into another 3 years in vocational. Because by that time you just have packed and say, I've done this, and now you have other dreams, go and do them. But that's something they can do after.
Yes. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching us, then you know that this is gold. This is gold. How many of us have actually thought about letting our children get a skilled qualification while they're in high school that they have ready to go on the day when they finish? They can actually get a job before they leave school and begin to gain work experience. How unbelievable is that? Wow, this is gold.
They get paid while they're doing the apprenticeship. So basically, while they're in high school, they get paid.
Wow, 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 wow.
But sometimes I go and see schools and talk to them about this type of programs. They said, Jose, I like this stuff, but the problem is not the children I care for.
Yes.
Because if I mention it to the parents think that we're failing their children.
Yes.
Because the whole idea they put, especially like the American school, some of the very good schools, they say the whole idea they bring the kids here is that so that they never have to do what you're asking us to ask them to do.
Wow. So this is amazing, because here I'm thinking, I've got children. I've got one in year 10. And I'm thinking, this is the best thing. This is the best advice somebody could give me to help my child to start to understand and appreciate, the workplace, begin to learn some skills. And actually, they can be employed while they're 11 or so on and begin to actually make money in an apprenticeship. I've actually, seen high-level professors who I used to work with, and I never understood why they sent their children to TAFE. I remember one time, one of my colleagues who was a very high-level professional was saying to me, oh, my child is doing this course at TAFE. And at first I was like, I wonder why is this child, but now I understand. So they are actually equipping them so that when they finish high school, if they don't get into their chosen course or the career path, they've got something ready and waiting ready to go.
That's right, because they have the skills that's required for them to perform in the industry they've chosen. Because, of course, like I have some kids coming to me say, I want to do car mechanic. And that's something they can learn as a hobby while in school.
Exactly.
And then later just go to university and do something else.
Oh, this is amazing. So parents, if you are listening to us this evening, remember, you can get your child to do a vocational course from year 10 that they can have a qualification in their back pocket to get a job, to earn pocket money, to even help with their university fees, and to prepare them. They can actually get some qualification that prepares them for the actual degree that they're going to do. They can do a diploma or an advanced level diploma that can be of great, great value when they go to universities. And this is indeed an amazing, amazing piece of news that I believe every parent need to know. And before, we're running out of time, but I know we have got you down to come back and talk to us. You're going to be one of our speakers at our upcoming conference in August at the Job Readiness Seminar and the Career Expo. And I believe that, this is the kind of stuff that people really, really looking forward to. So give us an idea, what advice do you have for, people who are going back to, I know you've spoken about the students already. Some people might be struggling in their careers as well, and some people might be have been out of work for quite a while. What kind of advice would you give them, and give us a little bit on, what you might be talking about at the conference? I know you'll be running a small group at the conference as well, talking about some of these things.
Yeah, I think at the conference, I was thinking my focus there would be much more micro credentials,
Yes.
government funding, and that sort of thing.
So you'll help people to understand how they can access these.
How they can access that.
Yes.
Also focusing also on school-based apprenticeship.
Yes.
For the parents.
Yes.
So that we'll probably look at school-based apprenticeship and how it works, and even government makes sure that that the employer cannot take advantage of children while they're working of people in apprenticeship. So they set up a level of payment. So it's dictated by the government how much that you get paid for year 1, year 2, year 3, and things like that. Yeah, and so those are the 3 things that I'll be mostly focusing on those 3 there. Yeah.
Yeah. And for people who have been out of the workforce for a while,
yeah, I think that it's always some people, they don't see much in volunteering.
You hear that word has come back again, volunteering. We've been hammered on this term, volunteering. We've heard it.
It has so much value, and it has sometimes even more value than the work that you do and get paid for.
Yes.
And you still can add this into your resume.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, you have a person who you've helped through this volunteering system that cares for you.
Wow.
So then you'd have a person that when I call in as an employer and I'm asking, do you know this person on ABC? Yes. Oh yeah, it was wonderful. They helped out with this program, that program, and that program. And quite often when you volunteer on something, it's something that you really, really enjoy doing, you're passionate about, and you can't go wrong with those things. So if it looks like as if it's very hard for you to enter the Australian labour market, just because of that, just look around for potential project management, for instance.
Yes.
Like lots of life is all about project management. So you can always find an area where you can volunteer and contribute to your community.
Yes.
At the same time as you're contributing to yourself.
Amazing.
And I find that is the best thing, because if you don't make yourself relevant and up to date with the skills, because by actually volunteering, you're making yourself current.
Yes.
So your skills are becoming current.
Yes.
And they said, you don't have any currency in Australia. Of course you have. So you have to used to do all this stuff in Syria, in Lebanon. But now you said, no, I also did it here for this program, for that project. I work in this project.
Exactly.
So it becomes just totally current, and you become much more of a relevant person.
And valuable and employable.
Yeah, that's right.
That is so amazing. Mr. Jose Evora, my goodness, this has been just a powerhouse of information for us this evening. And I think, our listeners, I really hope that you are taking notes and you've got your notebook and your pen. And if you want to hear more from Mr. Evora, you've got to join us the 6th of August, right here at 6 Speed Street in Liverpool, because we've got the Job Readiness Seminar and the Career Expo coming up. We'll have guest speakers. We've got some great guest speakers lined up. Mr. Evora is one of them, and he'll be talking more about that. But we will also be doing some small groups where we'll be working with smaller groups of people to help them, sort out what the career pathway that they want to take. And we'll have experienced people like Mr. Evora who will be talking to you and helping you with your resume and helping you to come up with a career plan that can help you to get back into the workplace, help you to find out how, like, if I want to volunteer, what is the first step to do? you know. So please tell your friends and your loved ones and everyone that this is a free event. It's sponsored by iCare Community Services and the Department of Home Affairs. Please make sure that you register. If you go on the My Career, My Calling Facebook page, there is an Eventbrite link. So make sure you register early. Today, I was just seeing people were just registering, like it was just going. So the spaces are limited. So please get in early so you can actually take advantage of, guest speakers like Jose and many others. We've got the African professionals of Australia coming, and it's going to be awesome. You're going to get people, we've got local government people coming. We've got people from job agencies. We will have booths from different job agencies and network providers. It's going to be awesome, and everything is already paid for. All you need to do is to get here, and we will take care of the rest. So it's been an amazing evening. Jose, is there any last anything else that's really on your heart that you just really wanted to share before we wrap up this section of the program?
No, I think it's been fun. It's been nice meeting with you. Thank you for inviting me. And I look forward to coming back again.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I know you're a very busy person, and we can't thank you enough for really giving us such insight. This thing, we can't find it anywhere. It would take months and probably years to actually understand and piece together what you have shared with us today. And so, listeners, please make sure you share this video with your friends and relatives, with your networks, so they can actually get this insight. We want you to have this information, and that is why we're going through the extra length of doing the video, so you can actually replay it over and over again. So we really do appreciate that. And so thank you so much, Jose, for today. I really appreciate your presence. And thanks to everyone who was tuned in on the program today.